Moments ago, reports confirmed that Iran has taken a significant step in expanding its nuclear program. The announcement has sent shockwaves through Washington, Tel Aviv, and capitals around the world. U.S. and Israeli officials have responded immediately, calling urgent meetings and reiterating that they will not allow nuclear ambitions to threaten regional or global security. Analysts are asking a single, pressing question: what does this expansion mean for the Middle East and for the world? Could this spark a broader conflict, or is there still a path to diplomacy? Tonight, we're going to break down exactly what Iran has confirmed, how the United States and Israel are reacting, what it means for the region, and the possible paths ahead. Stay with me as we explore every angle, every statement, and every strategic implication of this development, because what happens next could shape global security for years to come. To understand why this announcement matters, we need to look at the tense environment surrounding Iran's nuclear program. For decades, Iran has maintained a nuclear infrastructure that has drawn international scrutiny, negotiations, and sanctions. While the country has long insisted its program is for civilian energy and scientific purposes, concerns from the United States, Israel, and their allies have consistently centered on the possibility of weaponization. Recent months have seen increased activity at Iranian nuclear sites, leading intelligence experts and international observers to heighten their warnings. The announcement today comes after months of monitoring and speculation, confirming that Iran is expanding its enrichment capabilities and advancing certain nuclear infrastructure. This is not just a story about science or energy. It is a story about global security, regional balance, and strategic calculations that could have consequences far beyond Tehran. The U.S. and Israel, in particular, view these developments through a lens of national security, monitoring how each new Iranian step could affect both military readiness and diplomatic leverage. What's more, this announcement is taking place amid already elevated tensions across the Middle East, including proxy conflicts, military operations, and heightened political rhetoric. Every statement from Tehran now carries weight, and every response from Washington and Tel Aviv sends signals to allies and adversaries alike. According to Iranian state media and international monitoring agencies, Iran has officially confirmed the expansion of its nuclear program. While details remain limited to publicly available information, the country has increased its enrichment levels and advanced some of its nuclear facilities. Experts note that this expansion represents a significant step beyond previous activity, though it does not automatically indicate weaponization. Still, the strategic implications are clear. The program is moving forward, and Iran is signaling that it will continue developing its nuclear capabilities under its own terms. For the United States and its allies, any advancement in Iran's nuclear program is closely analyzed for both immediate and long-term risks. International agencies such as the IAEA continue to monitor Iran's compliance with agreements and report on the status of enrichment levels and facilities. Analysts stress that while Iran has long maintained that its program is peaceful, the combination of enriched uranium, advanced centrifuge technology, and nuclear infrastructure naturally raises concerns about potential military applications. The expansion also represents a strategic statement from Tehran that it intends to continue developing its nuclear capabilities despite international pressure. It's important to remember that this confirmation is part of a broader pattern. Over the past decade, Iran has been methodically developing its nuclear infrastructure, investing in research, and navigating international inspections. Today's announcement does not come as a surprise to analysts, but marks a clear escalation that warrants global attention. The expansion could influence negotiations, regional power dynamics, and the calculus of nations watching from afar. Following Iran's confirmation, both the United States and Israel have issued statements reiterating their concerns and signaling readiness to respond if necessary. Washington emphasized that it remains committed to preventing nuclear proliferation in the Middle East and will take every step to ensure that Iran does not gain capabilities that threaten the United States, its allies, or global security. Public statements from officials indicate that diplomatic, economic, and strategic tools remain on the table, including increased intelligence monitoring and potential sanctions. Israel has also responded firmly, with top officials warning that any steps toward nuclear weaponization will not go unchallenged. Military readiness has been heightened, and the Israeli government has stressed the importance of maintaining deterrence in the region. Analysts note that these responses are designed not only to signal resolve, but also to reassure regional partners who rely on both Washington and Tel Aviv for security guarantees. Both countries are acting carefully. Neither wants to escalate into direct military conflict, yet both recognize the importance of signaling strength. This balancing act, demonstrating resolve without triggering unnecessary confrontation, is at the heart of the current diplomatic strategy. Statements, intelligence sharing, and public messaging all serve as tools to shape Iran's behavior and reinforce international norms regarding nuclear development. The confirmation of Iran's nuclear expansion is critical for several reasons. First, it underscores the potential for a shift in regional power dynamics. Iran's nuclear capabilities, even if not weaponized, strengthen its position in negotiations and its influence over proxy groups in neighboring countries. This, in turn, affects the strategic calculations of the United States, Israel, and Gulf allies. Second, the expansion has global economic implications. The Middle East is a central hub for energy production and trade routes. Any escalation in tension, or even the perception of a nuclear threat, can impact oil prices, shipping routes, and economic stability worldwide. Markets are already sensitive to geopolitical developments, and Iran's announcement is likely to influence energy markets and investor confidence. Third, this development adds pressure to ongoing diplomatic efforts. The international community has long pursued a combination of agreements, sanctions, and inspections to prevent nuclear proliferation in Iran. With expansion confirmed, negotiators face a more challenging landscape. Analysts emphasize that the early responses from Washington and Tel Aviv will shape the trajectory of both diplomacy and regional stability. Finally, the confirmation highlights the stakes for American security. The U.S. has a vested interest in preventing the proliferation of nuclear weapons in regions of high conflict. Iran's nuclear program, therefore, is not just a regional concern, it is a global one. The confirmation forces policymakers, military planners, and diplomats to consider a range of possible outcomes, from continued containment to proactive measures designed to mitigate potential threats. Iran's nuclear expansion reverberates across the Middle East. Neighboring countries and Gulf allies are closely monitoring developments and adjusting their strategies accordingly. Nations like Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Qatar are assessing their security posture, intelligence coordination, and diplomatic messaging in response to Tehran's announcement. For countries with strong ties to Washington, the expansion raises questions about the reliability of deterrence and the potential need for new security measures. Meanwhile, Iran's regional partners may interpret the announcement as a demonstration of strength, reinforcing alliances and strategic calculations. Analysts caution that even minor provocations or misunderstandings in this tense environment could have outsized consequences. Moreover, the expansion affects ongoing conflicts in the region. Iran's influence over proxy groups in Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and Yemen adds another layer of complexity. Any move perceived as a nuclear escalation could ripple through these conflicts, influencing tactics, alliances, and international involvement. The regional stakes are high, and the world is watching closely. Beyond the Middle East, Iran's nuclear program has implications for international security, diplomacy, and economic stability. European nations, China, Russia, and other global powers are carefully monitoring the situation. Their responses, whether through diplomatic channels, economic policy, or public statements, influence the broader geopolitical balance. Energy markets, in particular, are sensitive to developments in Iran. The country's location along critical shipping lanes and its role in global oil production mean that any perceived threat can trigger price fluctuations. Investors, Businesses and governments are attentive to changes in risk assessment, supply projections, and market stability. In addition, the announcement informs global discussions about nuclear proliferation and arms control. Countries evaluating their own strategic positions may recalibrate based on Iran's actions. The broader lesson is clear. Regional actions often have far reaching consequences, and nuclear developments are among the most consequential of all. Several scenarios could unfold in response to Iran's announcement. Diplomatically, Iran could continue signaling that its program is peaceful, while the United States and Israel may pursue increased sanctions or international pressure to curb expansion. Military readiness and intelligence monitoring will remain elevated, serving as both deterrence and preparedness. There is also the risk of miscalculation. History shows that tensions can escalate quickly, even from small incidents, especially when nuclear programs are involved. Analysts emphasize the importance of communication channels, strategic clarity, and measured responses to avoid unintended escalation. Another possibility is that diplomatic avenues open, allowing negotiation or verification measures to address concerns without resorting to conflict. However, this will require careful diplomacy, credible deterrence, and international coordination. Finally, regional partners and allies may adjust their positions, influencing Iran's strategic calculus. The next weeks and months will be critical in determining whether the situation remains contained or moves toward a more dangerous confrontation. In summary, Iran's confirmation of nuclear program expansion is a development with far-reaching implications. The United States and Israel have responded decisively, signaling their concern and commitment to regional security. Analysts and policymakers are watching closely, aware that even small events in this environment can have global consequences. What happens next will shape the trajectory of Middle East security, international diplomacy, and global energy markets. This is a story that will continue to evolve, and staying informed is essential. If you want to be the first to know about updates, analysis, and the real implications of developments like this, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Every new statement, every diplomatic move, and every change in the situation will be broken down and explained right here. We will be watching closely, and so should you.